has got to be Eddie Hearns and what's going on in England. You show me somebody. Do you think the Canelo Chavez, if it were in Arlington, could they sell 9?
Yes, because I think so. Because they would put
Then
this,
why wouldn't you do it?
because Las Vegas pays more. They would sell 90,000, Lee, but a lot of them would be for $40,
Right.
$35. Vegas probably gave them up front, 11, 12 million just to buy the fight.
And here's the reality. This Klitschko fight, there's no freebies in this. This is the real deal.
And
Ticketmaster. You're lucky to get a seat.
and the taxes went up in Las Vegas for the hotels, Lee. That starts in March. They will be taxing all of us for the new stadium that is supposed to be built.
Hey, don't piss all over the new home of your Raiders.
It ain't there yet.
On this day, this past weekend.
Oh, Lee, let me tell you though.
Yeah.
They're losing their negotiating leverage with Anthony Joshua now, and probably Klitschko if he is to win. But right now,
I'm going to be really shocked. Based on what I've seen, it looks like Anthony Joshua is going to wind up a K2 product. He is.
Lee, listen, they're doing 90,000 seats. They're the biggest name in the heavyweight division. Anthony Joshua is internationally known already. The guy hangs out in Dubai. He was just in New York.
Fight. He's going to fight in Europe. He's going to fight with. Look,
what does Wilder have? If Wilder is fighting a fill-in guy, right, in his next fight, say he wins, say he beats Gerald Washington, he's going to have nobody. Povetkin and him are in court over a drug thing. Povetkin's not fighting him. That's not a huge fight anymore. Shannon Briggs, no one gives a shit if PBC signs that fight. With Anthony Joshua and Klitschko doing so big now, the numbers are so big, he has all the power. PBC is actually... If this fight is forced, if the networks force Al Heyman and Deontay Wilder into facing Joshua, because Joshua is now a Showtime product.
And again, you're making the blind assumption that Joshua beats Klitschko.
Lee, yes, I am, okay. But he's the favorite.
That's a big jump. That's a big jump.
We will talk about Klitschko's negotiation.
This is a level jump. We will talk
about Klitschko's negotiating power if he is to defeat Joshua, because that switches right over to him. But because Joshua's younger, he's undefeated, 18-0 and 18. They have him as the favorite. I'm telling you right now, if he goes in there and defeats Klitschko more convincingly than Tyson Fury did, come on now. This guy is going to demand Deontay Wilder to go to the UK. He's going to demand a heavier side. Everything that the investors of PBC have been hoping out of Deontay Wilder gets washed away in one night over at Wembley. If these guys did it. It's already sold. It's going to be one of the biggest heavyweight fights of all time. If this kid can come out 19-0 and 19, the whole world is going to want to see him defeat Deontay Wilder. The two biggest names right now in the sport, but one is doing way heavier numbers at the gate, at the views, internationally than Deontay. They're going to own everything. Deontay cannot duck him, Lee. If he tries to duck this guy, he becomes the biggest joke in boxing. We all know. Joshua Klitschko's number one. If you beat the winner of that fight, Deontay must face him. It's over.
Yeah, I agree. But I don't see... Unless they're just done with him and they don't think he has the ability to fight anybody.
Showtime owns Joshua now. He's not a PBC guy, Lee, but he has a contract under Showtime. That's huge. That Showtime's going to be like, dude, he's internationally known. He gets us the numbers.
Yeah, that's the problem. Klitschko is an HBO cat, so that'll be...
Yeah.
I could see a co-promotion. They've managed to pull it off once before. That's a big enough fight that they should be able to pull it off again. But we will see. This current weekend, depending on when you're listening to this show, first we'll talk about Saturday, what happened on yesterday in sports history. The greatest upset in boxing history was...
I don't know. Chavez Randall?
No.
What?
Tyson.
Oh, Douglas. My bad. Douglas. So stupid. I seen that for the whole day, too.
Yes.
Sorry.
Okay, so let's talk about this for a brief moment, because that was basically the end of his career.
Yeah.
Like, he never recovered after it. And it goes back to my age-old statement, and nobody believes this when I say it, okay? Once somebody gets that light bulb turned off, they're never quite the same. Mike Tyson got touched.
And the blueprint. The blueprint was released. Right. It was a jab right hand. You know, it was something that Foreman had screamed for years. Foreman had, for those of you that don't remember, there was an HBO fight one time back in the late 80s where Foreman had his finger in front of Mike and told him, "You don't want to fight me, young man. I know how to beat you." And if you know what beat Mike Tyson at the end was the jab right, Foreman was the best at that. So it's very hard now to go back into dream matchups and say that Tyson beats Foreman. I can't say that anymore because even Foreman in his late 40s had the best jab right hand, the most powerful jab right hand in that division. And I don't know if Mike gets through that for 12 rounds.
No, I certainly. Do you remember where you were when you watched it?
Yeah, my grandfather's.
That's where I was. I was at my grandparents', and I remember sitting in the chair and my dad walking in, who's a fight fan. We've talked about that on shows, but I remember him walking in because we had gone to Tyson fights, right? And he's like, "Oh, this is complete." His exact words: "This is complete bullshit. This will be over in 5 minutes." And I was watching the build-up because they run those vignettes before they start the fight, and they were showing Buster Douglas running in the snow with frozen shit on his face as he's running in the snow, and I just kept thinking, wow, this guy looks really hungry. Like, that's not a made-up run outside.
You know, Tyson was going through the divorce, wasn't he, at this time? Customato passes away.
Well, Cuss is gone. They bring in that weird team. I mean, I have hindsight because I've watched all the documentaries now.
And Lee, there's also videos now of Mike being dropped in sparring before Douglas.
Yep.
I just don't think his mind was right going into that fight. He actually beat Douglas. If you guys,
you're back to the Don King. Look at the count.
Look at the fucking count, Lee. That referee ringside is on like 4. He's on count 4.
But you can't do that. It goes to the Andre Ward rule, which is scorecard is scorecard.
No, I know. No, I get it. But Mike Tyson really won that fight by knockout. If you add the 4 seconds to not where Douglas gets the okay to return, by time he gets up, it was past 10 already. Douglas gets up at like 11 or 12 seconds. It's not even him on his feet. He's still getting up, and it was on 11 or 12. So, you know, tough break for Mike there, but he did land his famous uppercut that actually put Douglas down and out, and the referee just fucking blew it. You're supposed to look ringside, pick up the count, and continue. He starts over. It's clear as fucking day, people. Watch the tape. The ref clearly starts the count over. Terrible,
only in America.
Terrible.
Only in America.
Done.
That whole, here's exactly what's going to happen after this fight. And last but not least, today, on this day in boxing history, it is a famous birthday. Prince Naseem Hamed turns 43 today. And I posted a picture of him getting his face blasted by Marco Antonio Barrera. I would like to thank Prince Naseem Hamed for losing and thank him for boxing and believing he was all that. Because of the fight with Barrera, what's that do for Barrera's career after he wins? What fights do I get because of it? Yeah. I get the Morales trilogy. Do I not, Andrew? Yep. Do I not get the amazing Marquez fights?
Yep. Marquez fight.
I get everything because of that win.
Pacquiao.
Oh, you get everything. You get everything. Like some of there's a package of boxing that happens because Barrera gets that win over an incredibly overconfident and arrogant Prince Naseem Hamed.
He had all the power in the world. He technically he was not that good, and Barrera exposed him big time on that night. And I mean, seriously, if you think about it, I think Prince would have lost to Eric Morales at that time too. Morales just one of the best technical fighters.
But it would have been a great fight.
Would have been a great fight.
Could you imagine that one?
No,
could you imagine
Prince
that one?
He leaves. Could you imagine Prince versus Marquez? The accuracy
Any of those. Or Pacquiao. Look, even Pacquiao would have been interesting. Yeah. But he got broke so bad, we never saw him again.
To come back, yeah.
And he gained 100 pounds, and now he's a super heavyweight, from what I can tell.
Right.
Like the last. That's it. Ricky Hatton's got his first world champion. I'll give a nod to that as well. Talking about
Yeah, that was
300
this weekend.
pounds.
Rashad Warren lost to one of his guys.
Yeah. So now he's found his way. I cannot believe how bad Ricky Hatton looks. Like, first of all, his face looks like it was dragged on a street, which is one thing. But he's like this big, kind of fat, middle-aged. I'm not saying he can't get my ass.
He's got mental issues, though, Lee. Ricky, he suffers from depression a lot.
So do I.
Yeah, but Lee,
to drop my weight.
Yeah, but I don't know. He's probably on another level. Ricky Hatton had his whole country on his back, man, and got beat up pretty bad in a lot of his major fights. Actually, only two of them. It was only Mayweather and Pacquiao that he got destroyed in, and He
could have safely have fought in his country and banged hot chicks.
I'm just saying, if you have a mental problem and then you're put in that type of a situation and lose in that type of a way, he thought about committing suicide a few times, he says.
I will never understand why people don't look at George Foreman and go, I want to do that model. The George Foreman model was the smartest model of all time.
You mean Larry Holmes?
No, George Foreman, when he made the second comeback, and it was pointed out by Larry Merchant after the fight, he's like, George, you're not fighting anybody. He goes, God, I sure hope they're all bums. That's the reality, right? What's the Tommy Morrison formula? Yeah, I don't really care they don't care who I fight as long as I put butts in the seats and I knock guys out. And if you're Ricky Hatton, yes, you had two big fights at the highest level. I'm sorry, you're not an elite level fighter.
No, he's not.
You can go back home and fight there against lesser talent.
His biggest win comes on a low blow. You know that Katsia Tszyu fight, that's his biggest win, and he literally crushed Zhu's balls with one left hook, dropped them. The fight was never the same. And that was the biggest win of his career. But I remember that night. It was a close fight until Ricky decided to go low one time. I think Tszyu had did it too, and Ricky responded, but his was like a full-out power shot, man. The dude came off his feet and landed one below the belt, and Tszyu was never the same. It was late in the fight, and that took everything out of him. So he does have the Katsia Tszyu win, but that Mayweather defeat was huge. When you have, 27,000 of your people fly over the pond to watch this. They said 20 million was bet at the MGM Grand alone that night for Ricky Hatton. That wasn't just on the fight. That was on Ricky Hatton that night. He lost a lot. He was in major fights, but he lost a lot. Depression, Lee, don't go too hard on him.
You know what I'm going to say on that topic. All right, let's end on our favorite topic, which is the Floyd Mayweather watch of the week.
Fucking Dana White, man.
And still, we're talking about Conor McGregor.
Mm-hmm.
My God.
Lee, it's the only fight Floyd wants. It's the easiest fight for him in a boxing ring.
$100 million.
It's more than that.
Fight.
It is absolutely more than that. This is being stopped by the UFC, and I do not know why. I already told you my argument for why the UFC should go with this fight. It clearly shows that they don't look into the future. They look at the present. That's why you talk about their young fighters fighting guys undefeated, top fighting top. The UFC doesn't build. They got a guy at 7-0. Fuck it. He's going to fight the legend of the division. This fight is big for the UFC. This fight puts the UFC in a place that they're not at. Yes, they're at a comfortable...
All he has to do is have one good exchange.
That's what I'm telling you, Lee.
And that's it. Like, even if he just drags him into the corner, holds him, clutches him, headbutts him,
Zab Judah,
roughs him up.
Zab Judah dropped Floyd with the left hand. His glove touched the canvas. Richard Steele didn't call it. Everyone's seen it. Mosley hurt Floyd bad. Madonna hurt Floyd bad. Like, don't act like the guy can't be touched. I know he's one of the best defensive fighters ever. Don't get me wrong, people.
But he can't be put into a corner.
Yeah,
and roughed up.
Victor Ortiz was able to get him into the ropes.
for about 15 seconds each round. That'll be interesting.
That's it. And I'm telling you, there will be a million boxing fans that go, I haven't watched the UFC